Hello everyone, my name is Tommy West and today I'll be presenting my final leadership presentation based on leadership experience by Richard Giraffe covering chapters 8 through 15. For this presentation I selected 4 leadership topics what I found most meaningful. These are power and influence leadership, communication, leading teams, and leadership development. Throughout this presentation, I explain the main ideas from each topic, discuss why they are important, and share how I can apply these leadership concepts in my education, my work experiences, and my future career. Leadership is something we experience every day, whether we're working with coworkers, classmates, or family members. Leadership influences how people communicate, solve problems, and work together toward common goals. The second slide, leadership overview. Before taking this class, I thought leadership mostly meant being the person in charge or having authority over others. After reading the textbook, I realized leadership is much more than that. Leadership is about influencing people in a positive way. It's about earning trust, communicating clearly, solving problems, and helping others succeed. A leader isn't someone who simply talks about what to do. A great leader motivates people, builds relationships, and creates an environment where everyone can perform at their best. One lesson that really stood out to me is that leadership is a skill that can be developed. No one is born knowing how to do things perfectly or lead perfectly. Leadership grows through learning, experience, feedback, and practice. This course changed the way I think about leadership because it showed me that anyone who is willing to learn can become a better leader. Slide 3, Chapter 8, Power and Influence. Chapter 8 focuses on power and influence. According to Dav, leaders use different types of power to influence the people around them. The first type is expert power, which comes from knowledge, experience, and skills. People trust leaders with expert power because they know that what they're doing. The second type is referent power. This comes from earning people's respect and admiration. Employees often willing to follow leaders they generally respect. Legitimate power comes from a person's position with an organization. Managers and supervisors have legitimate power because of their vote. Reward power comes from giving incentives like promotions, bonuses, or recognition. Finally, coverage power comes from punishment or consequences. While it can sometimes be necessary, it should be used carefully because relying on fear often hurts employees' morals. This chapter helped me understand that leadership isn't about having authority, it's about using responsibility and ethically. Slide 4, my leadership style. The type of power I relate to the most is expert power. I believe that people naturally respect others. I believe that people naturally respect leaders who understand their jobs aren't willing to help others improve. Instead of leading through fear or authority, I think the best leaders lead by example. For example, replace this with a real experience from work or school, such as helping a coworker learn a task or assisting a classmate during a group project. That experience showed me that people are more willingly to follow someone who is knowledgeable, patient, and respectful. As I continue my education and build my career, I want to keep learning so I can become someone's others trust God for guidance. I also want to use my knowledge to support people instead of simply giving others orders. To me, that is what ethical leadership practice looks like. Ethical leadership looks like that practice. Slide 5, Leadership communication. Communication is one of the most important responsibilities of any leader. Chapter 10 explains that communication isn't just about speaking, it is about learning. It also includes listening, giving constructive feedback, asking questions, reading body language, and making sure everyone understands expectations. Strong communication creates trust and reduces misunderstandings. When employees know what's expected out of them, they usually perform better because they feel more confident and informed. Poor communication can have the opposite effect. It creates confusion, frustration, mistakes, and lower morals. One lesson I learned from this chapter is that a great leader spend just as much time listening as they do talking. Listening helps leaders understand problems before they become bigger issues. Slide 6. Communication example. I've experienced many situations where communication made a big difference. Replace this way real examples such as a supervisor clearly explaining everyone's responsibilities before a busy shift or a test group project where everyone knew their role. Because expectations were communicated clearly, the team worked together more efficiently and were able to achieve higher results. I've also experienced situations where communication wasn't clear. In those situations, people became confused about what they were supposed to do, which slowed everyone down. Slide 7. Leading teams. Chapter 11 focuses on leading teams. Today's organizations rely heavily on teamwork because many goals are too large for one person to accomplish alone. Successful teams are built on trust, respect, collaboration, accountability, and open communication. Every team member brings different strengths and perspectives, and leaders are responsible for helping those strengths work together. A leader also helps resolve conflicts, encourages participation, and keeps the team focuses on their goals. Okay, so the next slide that I have is my team role. Okay, so when I work with the team, I naturally see myself as someone who is dependable and supportive. I like making sure everyone understands what they need to know and what needs to be done, helping whenever I'm needed. Over the years, especially through college and work, I've learned that every team member brings different strengths. Some people are very organized, others are creative, and some are great at solving problems quickly. Instead of expecting everyone to think the same, successful teams appreciate those differences. And slide 9, leadership development. Chapter 15 focuses on leadership development, and this chapter probably had the biggest impact on me personally. One reason I like this chapter is because it explains that leadership is a lifelong process. No one becomes a perfect leader overnight. Leadership development starts with self-awareness. Leaders need to understand their own strengths, weaknesses, and areas where they can improve. The more honest leaders are with themselves, the much more easier they could continue growing. Another important part of leadership development is accepting feedback. Feedback isn't easy to hear, but it helps us improve. Slide 10, my leadership growth. Looking back at everything I've learned throughout this course, I can honestly say the understanding of leadership has changed. Before this class, I mainly thought leadership was about managing people or being in charge. Now I understand that leadership is much more deeper than that. Leadership is about building relationships, communicating efficiently, solving problems, making ethical decisions, and helping others succeed. It's about earning trust instead of demanding respect. This course also helped me to become more confident in my own leadership abilities. I understand that I don't know how everything is right now. Leadership develops over time through learning, experience, and practice. Slide 11, future goals. After completing this course, I spent a lot of time thinking about what kind of leader I want to be in the future. Leadership isn't just about something I want to study in college. It's something I want to see and use throughout my career and my personal life. One of my biggest goals is to graduate from Palm Beach State College and continue building the knowledge and skills I need for a successful career. I understand that earning a degree is one of the most parts about becoming successful. I also need a strong leadership skills because almost every career involves working with other people, really. And slide 12, key takeaways. When I look back at everything we covered in these chapters, there are several lessons that stand out to me. The first lesson is that leadership is built on trust. Without trust, it's difficult for the team to grow effectively. Leaders earn trust by being honest, dependable, respectful, and consistent in their actions. The second lesson is the importance of communication. Every chapter reinforced the idea that communication affects every part of leadership. The third lesson is that teamwork creates better results than individuals work alone. Everyone brings different scripts and different things to the table. So that's a good thing. Slide 13. In conclusion, studying the leadership experience has completely changed the way I think about leadership. At the beginning of the semester, I believe leadership mostly meant having authority or being in charge. But I really now understand that as I continue my education and move toward my career goals, I plan to use the lessons from this course every day. I want to become someone who leads with honesty, treats people with respect, communicates clearly, and helps others reach their full potential. I know leadership is a lifelong journey, and I'm excited to continue developing these skills. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch my presentation. I hope I've shown not only what I learned from these chapters, but also how to plan and apply things for the future. That's something I also wanted to say. But before I finish up, I would like to acknowledge the source for the presentation, and I have a few more things to say. And slide 13, the 4 topics I chose was power and influence, leadership, communication, leading teams, and team development are all connected. A leader who communicates well builds trust. A leader who builds trust builds stronger teams. Strong teams help the organization achieve their goals. At the same time, leaders continue learning and improving their careers. And to go back to slide 12 to add a little bit more to it, was that the 4th lesson is that leadership requires continuous growth. No one is ever finished learning. Don't ever forget that no one is ever finished learning. You will learn all the time until the day you perish from earth. The older you get, we really learn stuff new, like every day. That's what I see. Every day we always learn something new. So great leaders are not always looking for ways to improve themselves, learn from mistakes, and become better communicators and decision makers, really. So I'll say thank you guys for watching my presentation. Thank you so much. It's done.